Good evening, good evening. I was just telling them I have a nest in my in the back of my house. I have a nest. We're doing Shiluch HaKan. And it says, Shalech the Shalach, 100 times. It keeps coming back, and we keep sending it away every time. We do the mitzvah. Different person, not the same person. I feel bad for the bird. But we lift the eggs, we pick it up, and we do the mitzvah. And welcome to come by. Welcome to stop by, huh?
One of the biggest buckies in Shiluch HaKan.
Yeah.
Is Moshe Chop.
Uh-huh. Here in LA?
He's on our block.
Uh-huh. Rabbi Chop from the, thank you.
No Moshe Chop.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. He's a Baki in Shiluch HaKan?
He has, I think, some apartments and he has...
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So I have an unbelievable Maisa with Shiluch HaKan.
Dr. Frank told me, it's a Segula. He had a daughter who got divorced, they got married. So
I have that story.
Oh, that's the mice you were just going to say?
I have that story. I was divorced at 21 years old, and I was looking for a shidduch, and for years, nothing was going. I was already 25, close to 26. I was living in Lakewood. The entire time was just knocking away, but I needed a shidduch. And so I'm learning one night with my chavrusa, night seder. Still remember his name. I guess we were learning, schmoozing, and he's telling me that he didn't have kids for a couple of years, and he did Shiluch HaKan, and 9 months later he had a baby boy. I said, where'd you find the nest? He said, there's a guy, his name is Avram Yitzchak Khan, who locates nests around the tri-state area, and then sells the location for people who need Yeshuas, and that's how he makes a parnasa. Interestingly enough, his name is Khan, Avram Yitzchak Khan, Shiluch HaKan.
I saw in the Jewish press many...
That's, how about that?
Yeah, this is his parnasa. Here's the Maisa. I said, give me his number. I call him up immediately. And he says, look, I have a limited amount of nests. I only give it to the biggest nitzrachim, to the people with the saddest stories. I said, you got a minute? Told him my story. He says, meet me in an hour.
Sob story.
Meet me in an hour under the tracks of McDonald's. I drove from Lakewood, sped down, met him. It was around 11 o'clock at night. He hands me the stick, and he looks, he points over there. He's like, see, that's where the nest is. He says, be mechaven for the mitzvah. He gives me a whole pep talk. And he says that the bird cries, and it's Ma'ir Rachmim. He gives me the Zohar HaKadosh that says that when the bird cries, Ma'ir Rachmim, then Hashem wants to know who triggered all that Rachmim and blesses the person who triggered it, and all the brachas in the Torah come true. I was very nisragish. Took the pole, barely tapped it flew away. We got up there, lifted the eggs, was kind to put it back down, and I stayed up the entire night. I said to Hillam. And the next day, this is not my story.
Can't make this stuff up.
The next day, Shlomi Lewenstein from Lakewood, I'm very close to, told me years earlier, he says, I'm going to make your shidduch one day. He told me, he said to me, 21, I met him at a gas station on Route 9. He says, I'm going to make your shidduch. This is 4 years later. Calls me up the next day. He says, I have a shidduch for you. He read me, that was the first time I heard my wife's name. And we started dating. We got engaged a couple of months later. And the first call I made was to Avram Yitzchak Khan. And I said, you're not going to believe this. This is amazing. It works. He didn't pick up. I left him a message. I was so excited. He called me back after. I spoke to him. But for years, I just spoke to him recently because he was written up in the Mishpacha. Now he still does this. And I called him up and he said, I still have your message. I saved your message for years. And when people would do the mitzvah, before they would do the mitzvah, I would play your message. And I would tell them, listen to this message. And I had a guy who told me, that he hired Yitzchak Khan and he played my message. I have no problem. But so ever since we got married, we lived in Eretz Yisrael, and we have gotten nests over the years. It's like almost like they seek us out.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and we have a nest right now. I'm in the backyard. Yeah. So I said, why don't you advertise more? He says, I need to advertise. The Torah is my greatest advertisement.
Look, did Reb Chaim go anywhere and advertise? Everyone came to him.
I'm presenting on Pesach, so I got to... How's it look?
Good.
What do you say? Sorry.
Reb Chaim, he didn't go to anyone, he didn't advertise. Everyone came to him.
Everybody
something
came
like
to
that,
him.
it
It draws attention. That's it. It's, yeah, exactly. Okay, that's the
Talmudic
Maisa.
Maisa.
Yeah. So we are up to Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, the top line, the last word on the top line. Lamaisa, this is going to be our last day together before Pesach. I don't know how we're not going to be able to finish the Masechta together. We're a blot and a half behind, but either way, I cherish every minute. L'chein. There's a pasuk in Yeshaya, Navu and Yeshaya. L'chein rechiv sha'il nafsha v'par apia lebli chayk. Talking about the opening of Gehenna, that it widens the entrance for someone who didn't keep chayk, didn't keep the laws of the Torah. Lami shemeshayir afilu chayk echad. Rish Lakish says even somebody who left over one chayk and didn't keep it in the Torah, the gates of Gehenna open wide for such a guy. Hashem doesn't like when you darshan psukim so intensely, so dramatically, so negatively. Say the opposite. Even if you only learn one chayk, that alone will prevent you from being swallowed up by the Gehenna. He teaches the pasuk differently, exactly the opposite. Another pasuk where Rish Lakish teaches it for the negative, and Rabbi Yochanan turns it around for the positive. It says, talking about the third child of shame, which is Arpachshad. Arpachshad is when Avraham Avinu comes from. So in other words, he's saying that only a third of the third son of shame will come out from, will be zeichet to the Geula. Which means 2/3 won't make it. No, it's not, don't say that. You're dashing negatively. Talking about Shem himself, that he'll see everybody will see the Geula. The third, which means the third son of Noach, and the third son of Shem, which is Apachshad, Gans Klal Yisrael will be able to see the Geula. It says a Nevu of Yirmiyah. Yeah, Nevu of Yirmiyah. By the way, it's unbelievable. We're getting to Yirmiyah, the Nevu of Yirmiyah. I was just listening to Rav Zamir Cohen. It's amazing. He was saying that he was quoting a couple of psukim in Yirmiyah, in the Nevuah, when Galus Bavel started. You know the pasuk we say by Sheva Brachos, Oid Yishama Ba'ora Yehuda v'chutzas Yerushalayim Kol Sasam v'Kol Simcha Kol Chaz v'Kol Kala, right? He says, why do we say it in future tense? Oid Yishama. If we're saying it now, right now. 100 weddings a day in Eretz Yisrael. Yeah? Happening all over Eretz Yisrael. Over 100 weddings. Ken Yirbu. Oh, Yeshama. Shoimim. Ba'ora Yehuda. It's right now. The answer is, he says it comes from Nevu and Yirmiyah. And actually, we skipped over a couple of words in between those. Oid Yeshama. Oid Yeshama. In this land, which is desolate from people. Like there's nobody here. Me'ein Odam, Me'ein Behema. Still will be listed. So he says, you go to a wedding in Eretz Yisrael now, you should know you're living the Nevu of Yirmiyah from 2,500 years ago, from 2,600 years ago. We don't even think about it. It doesn't, the Ramban I think it was 1267, when the Ramban came to Eretz Yisrael, he writes to his son, not the famous Igeris Ramban that we have, another letter. He writes to his son, he says, I couldn't find the minyan in Yerushalayim. Those days Yerushalayim was much smaller. I can't even find the minyan of Jews. We're at the Knesset Ramban right now in the old city. Couldn't find the minyan. That's 700 years ago. He couldn't find the minyan of Jews in Yerushalayim. And yet today, Baruch Hashem, we have, I think it's recorded in 2022 or 2023, 37,000 weddings, Jewish weddings in Eretz Yisrael. Ken Yirbu. But either way, the Gemara says like this. I'll show you my bailas. I'll take only one per city and two per family. That only one person per city is going to be saved. You think Hashem wants you to darshan the pasuk that way? Darshan to the opposite, to the positive. One person could be mezaka, one tzaddik, So Yosef Kahana made the Rav Yosef come Devarim Kichsavan. So Rav Kahana told Rav also the way Rish Lakish Darshan did that only one person per city or two people per family is going to be saved. Amalei Rav. So Rav said, Hashem doesn't want you to darshan it this way. Say it for the positive, like Rabbi Yochanan. So Rav saw that Rav Kahana was washing his head. Yeah, and before he was sitting down and learning, I guess, it's the equivalent of sipping a coffee. He was like kind of engaging in some delicacies. V'solig v'Yosef kamei de Rav. And only after he took a hot shower, that's when he came to learn the Besmedrash and Rav. Rav said to Rav Kahana that you can't get Olam Haba like that. You're cursing me. I'm just letting you know there's a pasuk. Somebody who is learning Torah and he's making sure he's got all the madanim, all the tanugim, all the pleasures. He's got like the, what do they call it? The massage couch. Yeah, he's learning on a massage couch, and somebody's saying that's how he's learning Torah. That kind of Torah has no kiyum. There's no elam haba for that. You can't. So he was saying, Rav Kahana, don't. After you're done with the, so to speak, the massage in the shower and the spa, that's when you come to learn Torah. By the way, Rav and Rav Kahana, it's interesting. Rav and I had an interesting relationship. It wasn't that Tosfos and Baba Basra actually says on Samach Beis. Tosfos says that a lot of times when you see that Shasik Rabba and Abai have an argument, Rabba is quiet, means Rabba is not agreeing with Abai, because Abai was a real Talmud of Rabba, so he's just ignoring him. Rav Kahana and Rav, when Rav is quiet and Rav Kahana asks him something, it means actually he agrees with Rav Kahana. Why? Because he wasn't the real Talmud, they were like contemporaries. There was like a Talmud Chaver, Tosfos says. So they had a kind of a more of a equal relationship, so to speak. Tanya Reb Shmuel says, Nemar v'lekachti eschem li lo'am, v'nemar v'vesi eschem. It says in the Torah, Pesach is coming up. It says, Hashem said, I'll take you out of Mitzrayim and bring you to me as a nation. V'vesi eschem, I'll bring you into Eretz Yisrael. Makish yitzah osam v'mitzrayim b'osam l'oretz. There's a hekesh. Yitzih from Mitzrayim to the Bias Ha'aretz. Ma b'osam l'oretz, shnayim, mishishim riboy. Just like when they came into Eretz Yisrael. How many people came to Eretz Yisrael that left Mitzrayim? Between 20 and 60, only 2. Right? There were 600,000 people who left. Only 2 came in. Right? Which 2 came into Eretz Yisrael that left Mitzrayim? Between Yeshua and Kalev, right? They didn't do the part of the Chatam Meraglim.
So didn't like another 15,000 come in because there was the last day of
they didn't die.
Bury themselves.
You were correct. You're correct. How do you know? Okay, how do we resolve that? I didn't think about that. Gemara here says only 2 out of the 600,000 came in. Af Yitzi Osen Mitzrayim. This is also a crazy number. So too the Yitzia from just like the Bias Ha'aretz when they came to Eretz Yisrael, it was only 2 out of 600,000. So too those who left from Mitzrayim, you should know, only left. The ratio was 1 to 300,000, 2 to 600,000. In other words, if you counted all the Jews that lived and died over a span of 210 years in Mitzrayim, how many people left? How many Jews left? In total, from all the Jews that ever lived in Mitzrayim for 210 years, you should know 600,000, but each one had 300,000 that didn't leave. So it's 600,000 times 300,000. How much is that? How many is that? That's brings over here. It's 180 billion Jews. That's today we have 8 billion people in the world. So I don't know if it's a guzma or not, but it seems that would do the math, right? If you have one from the 600,000, each one had 300,000 Jews that didn't leave, at 600,000 times 300,000. So that's 180 billion.
During the Marcus Choisha,
yeah.
80% were nifta, right?
80% were nifta, yeah. Only 1/5. Yeah, 4/5 died. Chamushim. Interesting.
Today, how many left Mitzrayim? There are 3 million Jews who left Mitzrayim, including women and children.
Yeah, everybody.
And Canaan.
Yeah.
So 3 million, and then the 20% of, or you multiply that 80, you go backwards, right? From 3 million, you go backwards, that equals about 15 million Jews total who were in Mitzrayim.
How do you do the math? Because generations.
No, so you go backwards. Out of how many people died in Koloshet? So
50 million was supposed to leave and only 3 million left, so that's a 1/5, and then you go back for 210 years.
Yeah, I'm not going back, but if you look at today too, of how many
Ooh.
Jews are keeping Torah and showing
Wow.
Shabbos and carrying
It's a
money on
similar-
Shabbos, it's the exact same.
Where did you thought of that?
Yeah.
You thought of that? Wow. Unbelievable. Here's the, that's a Murdig Cheshbon.
Yeah.
Crazy, I know.
Murdig
I
Cheshbon.
know.
I might have to quote you on Pesach.
Just do tshuva.
You gotta do Juva, yeah.
Everybody's got to do tshuva.
Omar Rava, take a look at the next line. Omar Rava, v'chein li Moisa Mashiach. Moisa Mashiach is also going to be 1 out of 300,000 Jews will make it to the finish line to greet Mashiach Tzidkenu. What does that mean? It means, when Yod explains, the Maral explains, means from all the Jews throughout the centuries and the millennia, throughout the 3,500 years since we became a nation, if you add up all those Yidden that lived and died throughout the generations, you'll come out that the door of Mashiach, every Jew will have 300,000 Jews that waited to see Mashiach and never
Every door will
Never
have
made it.
300,000?
you, connected you, there are going to be 300,000 Jews who lived throughout the centuries and millennia that were waiting to see Mashiach and didn't see
I
him.
see.
Isn't there?
So that's how, so if you do the math, by the way, this way, it's 15 million times 300,000, because every one, I think that's a couple of trillion. Yeah, that's that. Again.
Kol
and-
Yisrael Yeshim Chelik Olam Haba, hopefully, right? Based on that cheshbon, a few trillion. There you go.
Trillion, yeah.
It says a hand God,
Yeah.
is gracious, right?
Except for.
Achris Gracious, beautiful. That's the Nevuah. It's going to be the similar.
After school is going to be like the first school.
Wow, that's the Gemara could have brought that pasuk also, but it says Shenemar v'ansa shama kamei nireh uchayoyim aloysa eretz Mitzrayim. It's going to be like that, like the Rashis.
There's another sheet. though.
Unbelievable.
There's these two of like the same amount, and then there's also one that says like there's 7,000 we're gonna make it at the end. Many different sheets of we'll just do the best we can.
We do the best we can. Yeah. We do the best we can. Yeah, Tanya. Omer Rebbe Elazar Rabbi Yossi. Pam achas nachnasti l'Alexandria shel Mitzrayim. I went into the same Rebbe Elazar Rabbi Yossi, by the way, that went to Rome and saw the tzitz. Yeah, this is Rebbe Elazar Rabbi Yossi. He went into Alexandria of Mitzrayim. But Tzasi Zokan Echad, I found an Egyptian, old Egyptian man. V'omer, and he said to me, "Boi v'arecha ma osu avoisel l'v'sech." I'm going to show you some history, what my ancestors did to your ancestors. Mehem tibu b'yam. Some of them they drowned in the sea. Mehem marga b'cher. Some of them they killed out by sword. Mehem miyacho b'binyan. Some of them they stuffed into buildings as they were building those cities. Pisam Ramses. V'adav zanach Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was punished because of that. Shenemar, because it says, "Amayas bosi al paral dabi b'shem cheir lamazeh." Moshe Rabbeinu complained to Hashem that ever since I came to speak to Paroi is done worse, more evil to Klal Yisrael. I miss the others. Many times I appeared before Avram Yitzchak Yaakov and I promised them Eretz Yisrael to give it to them, to their children. They never asked any questions, never thought. They never thought after my midos badly. They didn't ask me what my name is. I told Avram I'm going to give you Eretz Yisrael, walk the length and the breadth of it. And then he tries to find a space, a place to bury Sarah. He has to pay 400 shekel kesef to Ephraim. And he didn't ask any questions. He didn't say a word. I told Yitzchak, also live in Eretz Yisrael. I'll be with you and I'll bench you. And his avodim want to drink water. They had to fight over it. Even though I promised him, he never asked any questions. The dream I told him, whatever you're lying on, this land is yours. He wanted to pitch his tent. He couldn't find a spot. Till he had to buy it for a pretty penny. He didn't ask any questions. Nobody asked me even my name. What kind of name? What midos? The first thing you ask is, what's your name, Hashem? Now you claim that I didn't save them. Now I'm going to show you what I do to Paroi. Only now you're going to see the miracles I'm going to do for Klal Yisrael. But you won't be able to see the milchama of the 31 kings. You won't be able to go into Eretz Yisrael. Now, by the way, we know Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael because he hit the rock, right? Because of the Mei Meriva, right? And here it seems to be a Gemara that says that he couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael because Atatira, he was Mahar Achad Midas of Hashem. And the answer is, both are true. They're both true. Yeah, sometimes you find a few different reasons for the same einish.
I heard that Moshe Rabbeinu, if he went to Eretz Israel, he would have been Mashiach. It would have been like
The Mishmach couldn't have been destroyed.
Mashiach, right?
Yeah.
And the Beis Hamikdash wouldn't have been able to be
Right.
destroyed.
Correct.
And then Hashem would have had to destroy the whole world.
Yeah.
And have to start all over.
Yep. Yeah, that's also another cheshbon. Right. Another cheshbon. Vayimahir Moshe v'yikad artzav yishtach. Couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. I just got to tell you one quick. I was just in the Apple store just now. I couldn't. It's an old phone that was tagged, and I couldn't get in. I forgot the password, and I wanted to give it to my kid. We're going on a trip, and all right, whatever. So I had to go and reset the whole phone. Tag couldn't do it, so I went to the Apple store. I'm sitting there, and the guy's helping me, and I'm sitting. I don't know if you've ever been in the Apple store in the Grove. Don't go if you don't have to. But I'm saying, it's not a place for Ben Torah. But I'm sitting there by the table, and the way they set it up is they have chairs on both sides. So you have representatives helping out different people, and the guy in front of me who's being helped out by a different representative is talking Hebrew. So right away there's a warm feeling that comes over me, in the middle of the Apple store in the Grove in LA, and you hear a Israeli.
Not uncommon.
Not uncommon, but a warm feeling nonetheless.
Right.
He looks at me, I look at him, I said, Achim Adishma. He looks at me with big eyes and he says, Ata Galpo, you live here? I said, Ken, I live here. He says, wow, it's a kef liot po. He looked at me, he was so jealous of me living here. He's like, wow, how long have you been living here? I told him, I said, I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to get out of here. I love, but I want to go home. I want to go to Eretz Yisrael. I can't because my kids are in school and it's not, but I want to go home. He looked at me, you want to come to Eretz Yisrael? He says, I can't wait to get out of Eretz Yisrael to come live over here. It's a dream of ours. And he's there with his mother, with his father, with his brother. And I start schmoozing with the whole family. And they're telling me, Eze lachatz, they live in Caesarea, Eze lachatz, milchama, everybody's uptight, just infighting. We come here, we can breathe. I say to them, look, with all that, I still want to be in Eretz Yisrael. I still want to go. And they were like two across each other. And I was like, I want to go there. He's like, I want to come here. Nobody's happy where they are. The kids are here. Moshe Rabbeinu was dying to go into Eretz Yisrael. This is einish. You can't go to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, kachazeh. This is human nature.
The Yordim. There's a special name for that.
Ooh.
That's what there's a whole big community in the valley.
Yeah.
They have 2 newspapers.
They mamish are yored intentionally to come out of Eretz Yisrael. Yeah.
They have such a
We need to have Shoal here tonight to speak to that. Yeah.
Such a big Yitzhak.
Yeah.
Could you imagine one extreme in Ruchnis to the other? Eretz Yisrael to Los Angeles?
Yeah, no. He looked at me with big eyes, salivating. He's like, wow, you live here. And he looks around, how calm it is over here. I'm not calm, we're amongst Goyim. Amongst Goyim, I'd rather be amongst a brother. I don't know.
Yeah.
One time
Yeah.
an Israeli come to my house, they
They
came to
have these
visit.
Hebrew.
Yeah.
They say, אני רוצה לראות את הכוכבים.
Like you're reading
את הכוכבים. What does he
Stars?
want? The stars on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, you want to lirot et hakachavim.
You want to go
This
to the
is
homeless
what-
place? Yeah. In their mind, it's like, oh, the Kochavim.
Right.
On the floor.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
Right.
I have no desire.
It's so interesting you say that because this guy, his family wanted to go to Griffith. So it's like, wow, his mom says, Yesh nof shama. Yeah, you can see the whole city of LA. I'm like, they're so excited. I'm like, okay, shine.
Yeah.
Kacha. V'yamar Moshe v'yikad artzav yishtachu. Ma ro'a Moshe. What did Moshe see? That he bowed down and he prayed. What Moshe Rabbeinu saw. Yeah, which one of the Shleishes Midas did Moshe Rabbeinu appreciate so much that because of it he was mishtachave? When the Rosh Hashanah revealed the Shleishes Midas, right after the Chet HaEgel, he was mishtachve. What do you see? The mid of Erech Apayim. Rabban Amri Emes Ra. Tank Madam Erech Apayim Ra. Tank Shalom Shlamar Matzla Kodesh Baruch Hashem because of Erech Apayim. He found Hashem right Erech Apayim. Omel from Rabbeinu Shalom. Erech Apayim latzadikim. It must be that you are marich af. You extend the time until when you pay the tzaddikim la'olam haba.
Patience.
Yeah, Amalei Afler Rishayim. No, I do it also for the Rishayim when I have to punish them. Amalei Rishayim Yevedu. What do you mean? Just wipe them out immediately. Why do you need Erech Apayim for them? Amalei Hashem said to Moshe, "Hashduchos my demoilach." You're going to see that you're going to need this because Shechatu Yisrael after Klal Yisrael is chayta and chet egel. Amalei Hashem, Hakadosh Baruch said, "Lo kach amarti leich pam latzadikim." Didn't you say only latzadikim? So why should I be meichel them? Amalei for Boishlam, Lo kach amarti li after Rishayim. You said even for the Rishayim. I nichsiv ata yigdal lo kach Hashem kasher dibartel, just like you told me lamer to say it. So Mamela. Erech HaPayim is l'Rishayim as well. Rabbi Chagav Asolig was l'Badaga de Rabbi Shilai. Rabbi Bar Shila. Shamala Yenuka de Omar. He was walking up the stairs to the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Bar Shila, and he heard a child learning in the Beis Medrash saying, Eidoi Secho ne'emnu ma'oid, l'beis chon hava koyd Hashem l'Erech Yomim. It's Kapitel Tzad Gimel Tehillim, and Samach le Tefillah l'Moshe. And a couple of Kapitel before, it's Tefillah l'Moshe. Omar Shma Mino Erech HaPayim Ra. You see, l'Oirech Yomim. What is Oirech Yomim? Oirech Yomim is referring to Erech HaPayim, and it says Tefillah l'Moshe. So you see that what Moshe Rabbeinu was mispowel for. What did he see? He saw Erech HaPayim and not Emes. Emes would trigger the opposite reaction. Emes means that Al Pia Emes were chayiv to be wiped out because the Chet HaEgel. So that's not a simcha. The V'yishtacha would be tremendous tefillah. So here we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu had a simcha, and that was the Shtachavoya because of Erech HaPayim. Omer Blazer. Huh?
There's a level in Kabbalah, right? The Richam Pin.
Go ahead, talk to us about it, yeah?
It's a very high level in Shemayim. It's basically almost like it's parts of Adam Rishon, right? It's really parts of Hashem. Adam Rishon is parts of Hashem, right? And then you saw the Richam Pin, which is like it's translated it's like the long face, which is really like it's the face of the parts of Adam of Hashem, which is what Moshe Rabbeinu.
That's what he's. Oh, that's the Erech HaPayim.
Which is the Erech HaPayim.
Interesting. Very nice.
Which is patience. Get there.
Yeah. Patience. Yeah. He plays the long game, Hashem. Definitely the long game. Yeah.
We're missing our in-house Makubal here.
In-house Makubal, right? Omer Rebbe Lozer, Omer Rebbe Chanina. That's right. What was the story with the Chafetz Chaim? The Chafetz Chaim, there was somebody who was thrown out, an almana that was thrown out. She couldn't pay the rent, she couldn't make payments. And the Chafetz Chaim said that, you know that story? What was the Maisa? And then afterward he
said...
he was eaten by dogs or something.
Yeah.
No? It was a tremendous, terrible ending.
There's, Hashem's going to take care of him.
Yeah.
We will see what will happen. Basically.
Right.
And so, I don't know how many years later.
30 years later. It was many years later. Erech HaPayim, yeah. Yeah, and many years ago I put out a video with a guy who was burying somebody by chance in a cemetery because the tractor was burying, the family left. They didn't, I guess, they weren't aware or maybe sensitive to the halacha that you have to bury the mace. You have to do it b'yadayim. You can't just let a tractor bury it. You have to, it's part of the covenant mace. So they left. So he saw the tractor. He said, "Don't. I'll do it. You want to?" Then he looked at the name. He's like, "Who's this mace?" Well, all of a sudden, I'm here at Staten Island Cemetery and I'm doing it. And he did research and he found out that this guy actually paid his tuition 40 years earlier. Ner Yisrael. Yeah, Herman Neuberger, who was the dean of Ner Yisrael. He tried to raise the funds for different bachurim who couldn't cover. Rabbi Ammon, Stephen Ammon. And this guy paid for Stephen Ammon, who 40 years later ended up burying. And he said, I learned that halacha back in the yeshiva 40 years earlier, that you have to be mechaber the mace. So whatever in other words, he paid, Erech HaPayim, 40 years later, Hashem pays back. The Mishnah says, we say by davening, Zoicher kol hanishkachas. Hashem is a Zoicher. He remembers all that's forgotten. So the Mishnah says, what do you mean all that's forgotten? He says, if you remember your mitzvahs, Hashem says, okay, if you remember, I can forget it. I mean, if you're like holding people, you hold you let people know, hold it over their head. Say, hey, remember what I did for you? You should do this for me. Hashem says, okay, if you remember, I can forget. I'm a zeicher kol. If you forget, I'll remember. I'll make sure you get paid back.
The famous word from Einstein. This was on one of these YouTube space talking to students. He's saying, the following: 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. And then he kept going. He said 98, 100. And everybody jumped on him. What happened to 99? He said, you remember when I made a mistake, but what about the first 8 numbers?
Yeah.
Remember those numbers?
They jumped on him for making a mistake. Yeah.
When things go normal,
Yeah, sure.
we don't pay attention.
Yeah.
When a little something goes out of the way.
Very good. You remind me of the kid who woke up one day and he told his father, "I'm going off the derech." You know that one? Yeah, I'm going off the derech. So father's like, "Oh my goodness, what happened?" He's like, "That's it, I'm done." So father didn't know what to do. He's like, okay, he's quiet. He's like, let's see what happens. He sees he's going to Shachris. He's putting on tefillin. Comes home, he's watching Hamoitzi. He's benching. So finally, he goes off the sun. Like, you told me, you're going off the derech. Yeah, I see you. You're going to shul, putting on tefillin, washing for Hamoitzi, benching. He says, aha. He says, you see, before, when I told you I'm from, you only counted my averos. Now when I told you I'm going off the derech, you're counting my mitzvahs. So anyway, the idea is that, what are you saying? He missed the 99, everybody was jumping on him. But here is Erech HaPayim. Yeah, the Rebbe Erech HaPayim. Amr B'laz B'chlina. Oz the Kodesh Baruch Hu is a Torah Brush called Tzadik V'Tzadik. Hashem is going to be a crown on the head of every Tzadik. Shneba, B'yoyma Hu Yeh Hashem Tzvokes Lateres Tzvil Tfiras Tefara L'Shar Amoy. My Lateres Tzvil Tfiras Tefara L'Oisim Ritzanim Tzap L'Shuasai. Anyone who's Oiser Ratzon Hashem and is waiting and hoping for his Yeshua. Yachol Lakoil. So I would have thought maybe everybody who is Oiser Ratzon Hashem, even if he's arrogant. Tamad Leimer L'Shar Amoy. Sha'ar is a lashon of shirayim. Anyone who is humble, like the leftover foods that are not important, he behaves in such a manner where he doesn't carry himself like an important individual. That's somebody HaKadosh Baruch Hu will put a atar. He'll be a atar in his head. L'ruach mishpat. What is that? It's a roid des yitzroi. Somebody who is rejects his Yetzirah. Controls himself. Somebody who judges honestly, overcomes his Yetzirah. In other words, he's not just preventing himself from doing an aver, which is the haroides Yetzirah, but he's also using that energy to go and do a mitzvah. That's even a higher level. Meshiva Milchama, like we're doing tonight. Yeah, you come to Bis Medrash, the Erev. Why are these tzaddikim different than those tzaddikim? Lamaisa, they're all doing the Ratzon Hashem. So why are these Balai Midas better? Amar La, because v'gam elu bayayin shogu v'shecheto apakap l'liyah. Because Baruch Hu says somebody's doing mitzvahs because that's ingrained in him. He's not thinking about it. He's doing it by rote. He's an autopilot. That he's like a shikker, like shogu v'sheker. He's like a shogu. He's like a shikker. He's not paying attention to what he's doing. But somebody who has these midas of humility, of being roid de biyitzroi, all that, then that is someone who I serve as a crown on their head for. The ain puka ela gehenem. Puka is gehenem. Shenemer v'lesia zes l'chol puka. The ain plila el deyon shenemer v'nasan b'flilam. Means that Kadosh Baruch Hu makes sure that. It's not going to be a stumbling block to bring him into Gehenna. So that is that they will. There'll be a judgment whether they should go into Gehenna. Yeah. So those who don't have those midas will end up in Gehenna. Okay. So here we're talking about Irani Dachas. Irani Dachas, we know the Gemara said earlier that three things never happened, right? What are the three things? Ayin Aleph. What's the seven? Iya. I know that's in Bava Basra. Iya.
Ben Sarah Meyer, Irani Dachas, and what was the other one?
Sarah Meyer and Nigabatim.
Oh, Nigabatim.
Nigabatim? Yeah. So you have Irani Dachas never happened. Why? So why does the Torah talk about it? Why are we learning about it right now? Mishnah Anshe Irani Dachas Droish v'kabel schar. So this shtickle Mishnah that we're about to learn is just for the sake of Droish v'kabel schar. There's no halacha l'maisa that's coming out that'll ever be relevant. Yep, there is a man but that's right. He was sitting, yeah.
Oh, right, sitting on the head.
Yeah, very good. Anshe Irani Dachas ein lam chelik l'mavah. Shenema yotzu anashim b'nei b'liyal mikabechom. Says the Mishnah, there are a lot of criteria necessary for an ear to qualify as ear nidachas, which is why it makes it almost impossible to happen. You have to have the people who mislead the entire city have to be citizens of that city. They have to be from the same shevet. And most of the city, majority of the city has to do avodah zarah. It has to be, the majority have to be zecharim gedolim. Right? Who gets a worse punishment? A yochid that does avodah zarah or somebody who's chaylik of yir nedachas? A yochid does avodah zarah is beskila. Yir nedachas is I think it's Beherig B'Sayef. The money,
the money
has to be
all
gathered
that
up,
burned.
in the street, then has to be burnt. But they are B'Sayef. I hope it's B'Sayef, right? That's what I think.
Wait,
Not
we're getting there.
B'Chemek.
We're getting there in 2 lines, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
There you
Oh.
go.
Okay. Right here. Oh yeah. Very good. So think more about that. Tzrichen shnei edim v'asru l'chol echad v'echad. You need each person. Again, each person who did it has to have edim and asra in order for them to qualify. To be part of that number.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like
It's
impossible, yeah.
Every single person in the city
has to have Eidim and Asra. Correct. Yeah. Since we are machmer their punishment, they get skila, so that's why you don't have to get rid of their money. But by entering Nidach is B'Sayef. That's a much lesser Misa. That's why the Torah is machmer by their mammon. Says the Gemara Vayter Hakas, the Mishnah Hakas Yesh Ve'ir A'ilav Yichorev Hachameres. Yesh Ve'ir is coming to exclude or include. Hachameres v'agameles oiveres m'makom l'makom. Let's say you have travelers, people who are traveling by donkey, by camels, and they're passing by. Harei elu matzilan oisa. So let's say if you counted them as part of the city, and by counting them, you won't get to a majority of people who do avodah zarah, they can be matzel the entire city. Even the nechazim of tzadikim that are, let's say a tzadik owns an apartment in that city, he gets or like he has money, investments, it gets burnt with everything else. But any nechazim of that tzaddik that is outside of the city, platin. You basically destroy both, whether it's b'toich or b'chutzelav. You have to put in the city, and the city is a square, the main street. Put all of the shalal, all of the stuff that they own, and you burn it. And if it doesn't have a rechayiv, then you make a rechayiv to be able to fulfill that mitzvah. If the rechayiv was outside of it, then you basically have to move the rechayiv inside for the burning process. You can't burn anything that belongs to Hashem. Hektish. First of all, be paidu all the hektish in the city. It's truma sirkavu. Any truma doesn't get burnt either. It goes to waste. You let it rot. That you are goiners. You hide, but you don't burn it. What a statement that if you do this halach of Yir Nedachas, you should know it's like you're being makriv kilata oila kolil lafanai. It's like you're being malan oilo kolil. You can never rebuild the place. Mamish has to stay destroyed and desolate for the rest of eternity. No, you can't rebuild it into buildings the way it was before. You could still make other gardens and orchards on that land. Don't take anything that belongs to them, because wherever there's Rishayim in the world, there's anger in the world. Of the Rishayim in Ha'olam, so by destroying everything that the Rishayim have, that takes away the charoinaf, the anger Hashem has from the Rishayim. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanon, Yotzu Hein v'lo shluchen. That means only if they themselves were misled the entire city. But what if they sent shluchen? In other words, what do I mean shluchen? So shluchen themselves should be the ones that misled it. Who cares? Teretz says the shluchen are from a different city. So to be qualified, to have that criteria of being the misleaders, that wouldn't qualify. But if they're shluchin, then it would. Says the Gemara, no, but there's a miyat even for shluchin. You can't be somebody else's shliach for that. I mean, why do I need a pasuk for that? Ein shliach l'dvar aveira, and isn't there usually a klal? I need a pasuk for v'yatzu. Yatzu hen, dafka they, but v'loi shluchin. If they did it through shluchin, then
That doesn't count.
it doesn't count.
Ein shliach l'dvar aveira.
Yeah, Ein shliach l'dvar aveira, so they're not shluchin. I'm not sure. Yeah, what do you got, Rocky?
I'm thinking a couple different things, but
Yeah, what do you got?
well, this is barabim. This might be different. This is an avera barabim, right? This requires several people to do it.
Okay.
To do the avera. So it could be ein shliach l'dvar aveira is not shaykh. Ein shliach l'dvar aveira is not shaykh. By
died? Yeah.
let's get
Okay.
battery. No, I'm gonna keep on going. Ein shliach l'dvar aveira is not shaykh by tzibur.
Right.
It's only by yochid.
Ah.
Could be.
You're saying this is tzibur.
Because the example that the
Yeah.
Gemara brings is the first, the parak in Kedushin,
Yeah.
the second parak in Kedushin is by Kedushin. Right?
Uh-huh. So we have to deal with it on the bottom over here also. Okay, yeah, I'm noticing now.
It's still recording the audio, just not the video.
Okay.
I just need to put a new battery in.
Okay, we're going to continue anyway. Anoshim, ein anoshim pachas mishnayim. It says anoshim, that they have to be misled by people. Yeah, so it needs to be more than one person that's misleading them. Davar achar anoshim v'lo anoshim, anoshim like tanim. It can't be women, it can't be children. V'nei b'liyal bonim sheparku oil shemayim mitzavreim. They have to be pyrik oil shemayim mitzavreim. B'liyal is the words b'li oil. Without oil mach shemayim. V'kirbecho v'loy min asfar. The city of Nir Nadachas has to be in the center of Eretz Yisrael. It cannot be a border city. That doesn't qualify for Nir Nadachas. Yoshve iram v'lo yoshve ira cheres. It can't be yoshve ira cheres. There can't be people from a different city misleading, seducing people from this city to do avodah zarah. Leimar shetzrichen edim asra l'chalachat ve'echad. Like we said before, they need edim asra for each one. Itmar says the Gemara. Interesting machloikis Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Cholkin ir achas l'shnei shvatim. We know when Yeshua divided Eretz Yisrael, so each shevet got through a goyrel, right? Which daf is that above Basra? Through a goyrel on the Urim V'Tumim.
Kuf chaf beis.
Yes. Don't tell me
Right?
what the simon is. Kuf Chav Beis is quarter of the Kav.
Cornfield.
Sheesh, you're good. Yeah. So you have the Gemara Bavasar says that B'nai Yeshua through a goyrel Urim V'Tumim, each shevet got a certain amount of land. Now, what happens if one city is bordering two nachlas of two different shvatim? Do you divide the city? It says Rabbi Yochanan cholken ir achas l'shnei shvatim. You cholik that city in the middle. You split it down the middle to two different shvatim. Rish Lakish Omer ein cholken ir achas l'shnei shvatim. You're not cholik that city. Whoever has the majority of the city in its chelik, in its nachla, they get the whole city. My love, and the Mishnah says that the madichim, the ones who are misleading the entire city, have to be citizens from that city, and they also have to be from that shevet. Why does the Mishnah have to say both? If they're from that city, obviously from the same shevet. Must be that you can have them from the same city, but from a different shevet. That sounds like Rabbi Yochanan, that you can divide one city into two shvatim. Gemara says, "My love, avdim lechem oisir, ikam oisir shevet and iloi loi. Shmam nachol kinachas shnei shvatim." Gemara says, "Loi, denaflu lebi Yerusha, inama did yavne halei b'matana." It could be that they got a nachla. Really, you don't divide the city. So how would they be from a different shevet living in that city? They got a gift, a property in the city, even though they come from a different shevet, or they got to be Yerusha from their mother. Either way, they got it. Eisvei. Orim Teisha me'ishnei hashvatim eile. My love, it says in Yeshua, you have 9 cities between 2 shvatim. 9 is an odd number. How do you divide 9 cities between 2 shvatim? If it's 8, then 4 and 4. But if it's 9, then obviously you have to take that middle city, right, the 5th city, and you have to divide it in half. That's like Rabbi Yochanan, that you could divide one city into 2 shvatim, to give it to 2 shvatim. It says the Gemara, my love, arba palgamahai, arba palgamahai. Gemara says no. Shmamana chalk nach neshvatim. What is loy? Arba mahai v'chamesh meh. Really, it's 4 and 5. Yochel prusha parash. So I believe the pasuk shouldn't call it 9. It should say 5 and 4. So kasha, that is taka kasha, and we don't answer this kasha in the Gemara, at least over here. Now we said over many, many times, the Rashbam in Baba Basra, in I want to say Daf Samach Beis again. The Rashbam Baba Basra says, no, it's actually not Daf Samach Beis. In Cheskabata, the end of Cheskabata, the Rashbam says that there's a chiluk between kasha and tiyufta. Anytime the Gemara blives by a kasha, that means he brings from Shem Rabbeinu Chananel, that means there is an answer. The Gemara is just not answering it. And if it's tiyufta, that means there is no answer. Mamash, we don't have an answer. So here, Gemara leaves by a kasha. It means taka, there's an answer, but it's not a dechia gemura. There's actually a Pshaya Pik, right? Has a sefer answering all the kashas and shas based on this Rabbeinu Chananel, because every kasha taka does have a yishuv, has an answer. Iboilahu, says the Gemara. Okay, let's finish up till the 2 dots. Iboilahu hutchu me'alehen. What happens if there weren't people, instigators, people who misled the leaders of this movement? Just everybody on their own came to the conclusion to do avodah zarah. Mau, does that qualify for inner dachas, or do you need people to get up and lead the tzibur, the public? Vayadichu amrachmana v'lo shehutchum ha'alein. It doesn't matter if you have the leaders instigating the entire movement, even if the people came to it on their own. It says that they can't be an irani dachas. Amai, why not? Let the noshim. Why can't the noshim iktana be part of the cheshbon when we count whether there's roivir or not? Let it be like hutchum alein. So the Gemara says must be that hutchum alein doesn't work. You need hutcha ayidei acherim. You need leaders to instigate to start that movement. The Gemara says no, that's not a raya. Hanich basan afshayu gridei. Hani basan noshim iktanim gridei. Says the Gemara, no. Could be there's a difference between people who are hutchu me'alein or people who are hutchu through nashim iktanim. If you're hutchu me'alein, so that's strong enough, that qualifies to make the city into an irani dachas, because they came to it on their own, so they are mamish oivdei avodah zarah. That's enough to call you an oivdei avodah zarah. But if you are nimshach baser nashim iktanim, that means I myself am not so kosher to avodah zarah. There's a woman, there's a cotton that's misleading me, then that doesn't quite cut the make the cut for irani dachas. Okay, I think we have to stop over here at shiur dacharuba. Well, hopefully we'll be able to you'll be able to finish it on your own. If you go to a hotel, we say chag kosher, right? Have a kosher in Pesach. If you stay home with the shviger, you say have a happy Passover. Right? If you go to a hotel with the shviger, you say chag kosher v'sameach. Right? That's what they say.
All right, Vadia said.
Ends with a joke. That's always the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Vadia said to all the Sfardim, chag kosher v'sameach. So the Ashkenazim, some kal.
Why? Because the Sfardim don't fast?
Rice.
Oh, some kal, the rice. Yeah, it's one of the times my wife has on me because she's 30. She stopped eating kidneys and gebrocks and.
So it's not.
She's never mamish. Your wife is also Sfardi though, no?
She is Sfardi.
Yeah.